Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop with Shop Talk number 124. And we're, as you can see, in front of the green screen there with a little slide presentation of just different pictures from the farm here, just in the front. This is just from the front of the farm, by the way. And eventually I'll go around and take some more scenic slides in other parts of the farm. As of the very moment, we have 0 viewers, which is kind of par for the course when you first start it, and then all of a sudden it just jumps up there. I'm going to assume there's people out there and that we are alive, so we'll just keep going. Nope, there went the 33, so we got 33 already, and now they're starting to scroll up the screen, so I guess we're officially working. We just hit 95,005 subscribers as of this morning. So less than 5,000 to go to get to my 100,000, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. Speaking of somebody with a lot of subscribers, let's talk about Itchy Boots. If I know a lot of people, I've turned them on to Itchy Boots, watching her, and some of my viewers have said, "Thanks for showing me Itchy Boots." Itchy Boots. I can't even say it. She's a rock star, and boy, she is a rock star, really. And she's got a lot of followers, and there's a new video out of her in the UK making a presentation to I think it's a bunch of bikers in the audience, and anyway, she postponed her, or she put her Africa journey on hold, and she went up to this thing in the UK and is making this presentation. Anyway, I have a link to that presentation in the description of this video, so you'll want to click on that later. Please don't do it now. Wait until we're done, and then go there and watch Itchy Boots, because she's talking about stuff that happens behind the scenes and things like that, so you'll enjoy it, I think. I wanted to mention to you that I have updated the products I use page again. I've added the green screen to it. I've added the rust converter to it, and there's probably other products, if you haven't been on there in a while, that have been added also. Now, I typically only put products on there if I would endorse them. Now, I don't get sponsored by any of these that are on there. Not a single one of them sponsors me in any way. I just recommend them because I know they're good products, and that's the only reason I put them on there. If I don't think they're good, I don't put them on there. Let's see. I see we've got a few comments scrolling up the screen there. I'm just making sure that everything's going good. Look at a couple comments to make sure they say no video, no audio, something. But no, it looks like everything's okay so far. I was going to do a little green screen demo for you here. Now, we're going to do this live, so it's going to be me futzing around with the mouse here and changing a few things on the screen and stuff. But I just wanted to show you, to let you know how this kind of works. And excuse me. And by the way, I'm going to apologize for the coughing, because it's just going to be like this for the next month or so. It's just the way it is with me. Once I get that allergy thing, that attack, it does not go away. It just doesn't. Anyway, so let's do a little bit of a green screen demo. So right now, behind me, there is a big green curtain, and there's a filter that's called a chroma key filter, and it filters out the green. It makes it black. And so I'll show you what that black looks like. So here it is. And so that curtain, you can probably see the wrinkles in it and everything. That's actually a green curtain, but it filters it out to black. Actually, it's not doing as good a job today as it usually does. Usually it's just black. But anyway, you can see there. And of course, I have it zoomed up tight around that so that you can only see this one area. Now, I'm going to go ahead and actually remove the filter, the chroma key filter right now. And then you'll see what happens as I remove it. So I'm going to remove it right now. It is now gone. And so that's what it actually looks like. It's a green screen hanging there. And it's better if you can get it perfectly smooth and no wrinkles and all that. But I've got this bench here, and, it's it works. So I just let it work. That's all. But it would be better. And when I get the band in here, I will try to make it even better and try to get it perfectly flat and, and have it big enough so the whole band can be in front of it. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So now I'm going to go back to that camera you saw first where it zoomed in, and you'll see the difference. So you can see here, that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to put the filter back on, and you'll see what happens. Let's see. Assuming I can find the right thing to click on. And here we go. Hang on a second. Just bear with me. There it is. And I think that should have done it. And we're back. That's just kind of what it is and how it works. It's magic. Trust me, it is magic. I don't know how it works. I mean, I kind of know how it works, but not the specific details. One of the questions I got, and we will address the question again briefly when we get to the questions, but it's what's inspired this next little video clip. Someone asked, how does my water system work here on the farm? Because that's what I had to do yesterday, was fix that water hydrant. And let me just show you this little short clip of how our water system works here on the farm. Well, my friends, I thought I would show you how my water system works. Someone asked that question. And here's the water hydrant that I fixed as of today. Really, I just finished it today. Of course, by the time you see this, it will be the previous day. So you could say I fixed this yesterday as you're watching this video. And it seems to be working just fine. I've backfilled the hole now, although it's not graded out smooth. I just piled it up there. I'll let it settle for a few days before we do much more work there. This is what we call the well house. Some farms use well houses, some don't have this at all. This is kind of older technology, if you will, but you can keep your pressure tank inside here and the wellhead and all that. And so I'll show you basically how it works. It's not real clean in here all the time, so just ignore the dirt. We use it for a little storage too. We store our paint sprayer, now that I think about it. So we've got our paint sprayer in here. But this large tank has got a rubber liner in it, and that's a pressure tank. This pipe here goes into the ground, and that goes up to the rental retreat and up to the old farmhouse and also out to this water hydrant that we just fixed. And you might be saying, well, where does it come out of the ground? Well, here's where it goes down into the well right here. There's a well cap right there. That big round circle is the well cap. And the well is drilled down to about 120 feet deep. And whenever the motor goes out on that well, it's at the very bottom of the well. So you have to pull the whole pipe and everything up out of the well, 120 feet worth, and then replace the motor on the bottom. And I've had to do that probably twice on this well since we've owned this farm in '98. There is another well way up at the other house, way up there, almost a half mile away. And that well house is very similar, and I've probably pulled that well at least 3 times, and I've done it totally by hand. And let me tell you, that's a job. It's about 1.25 inch pipe, and when it's full of water, it is heavy, let me tell you. But in my younger days, I was able to do it, and I did it about 3 or 4 years ago, and was still able to lift it and pull it up. I don't know that I could do it today, but I hope I never have to again. Yeah, when you're out in the country like this, you have your own water system, one way or the other. Ours are what you call deep wells, and 100-foot deep isn't all that deep compared to a lot of people. A lot of people's wells are 600 feet deep. I mean, so they can be any depth. It depends where your water table is. Fortunately here, and it's not just because it's mine, but the truth is, it's the best well water I've ever seen anywhere. It really is. It doesn't stain your toilet bowls. Most well water does. I mean, most well water will build up some kind of a buildup on your toilet bowls and things like that, where it sits in the water, sits in there for a long period of time. It doesn't do that here. This is the clearest water I've ever seen anywhere. Has almost zero taste. And I say almost zero taste. I mean, truly, I don't think anybody ever tastes anything in it. You wouldn't know it from bottled water. I mean, it's that good. It's amazing. It's just amazing. We are absolutely blessed to have that kind of clean water here. The one I showed you down there, the well that I just showed you, seems to be the better of the two wells, at least in terms of volume. It never seems to ever even slightly run low. The one up at the main house, if you let it run for a long time, like maybe 30 minutes, you can run it temporarily dry. Now, it only takes it 5 minutes to refill, but if you let the water run solid for 30 minutes, it possibly could run a little dry. It depends on the time of the year too, but generally speaking, both of them are very good water, so I'm very happy. I noticed while that video was playing, looks like David Lane made a super chat. So thank you very, very much, David. I really do very much appreciate it. And moving on to the next little segment here that I have for you. I thought it might be interesting for you to some of you probably understand how this is all laid out here, but I thought it might just give you another slight perspective on how the property's laid out, how my property and my son's property, Homestead Horsemanship, my son JR, how his property lays. So here's just a little quick drive from my shop to his place and then back. So here you go. Thought I'd give you a little better layout of our property here and how close our neighbors are. And as you know, our neighbors are my son and my daughter-in-law, Emery. So let's just go over to their house and we'll take you for a little ride. And so we're at the neighbor's house, and the video's been running for less than 2 minutes. Now we'll head back to our house and just show you the trip on the way back. we're back at the door. So that's just how short the trip is from here to my son's place. It's just, you can walk it very easily. But anyway, I just thought you might be interested to see how that all lays out there and how we're connected. Our one property line there is it's a mutual property line between our two properties there. So in other words, the two properties do border each other, is what I'm trying to say. If anybody has any questions about anything you've seen so far, or any other questions about musical instruments or anything like that, or repairing instruments, or repairing something else even, I don't care. I've kind of got a lot of experience building and repairing a lot of stuff. So if anybody has any questions about any of that, just feel free to put them in the comments, and start it with a few question marks, and we'll get to those here in a little bit. In the meanwhile, I also made a little segment. I've shown this several times in the past, but I just made this one this morning to just give you an update on my purple martins. I'm always happy to show off my purple martins because they're kind of hard to get, and when you get them, most people that have them are pretty proud of them. So here's a little clip on that. So I thought I'd let you get an update on the martins today, since I think the babies have started flying, because there's so many of them now. I'll go up slowly and maybe they'll take off flying. As I've said, while the martins are here, we don't have a problem with those giant horse flies. But it won't be long now, probably another couple of weeks, they'll be leaving, and the horse flies will return with a vengeance. Just give you a look around the farm here. Very peaceful out here in the mornings like this, other than the birds. That's where we're going back to do our shop talk. Well, I really do enjoy the wildlife here. That's the main reason I bought this place. Someone said something about the property is wonderful. And, you know, it is. I mean, I love it. I don't take it for granted. I absolutely 100% with every inch of my being absolutely love the place. We had been looking for years, well, not years, but we had been looking for months and months, about a year, for a farm, and we almost made a deal on a couple of other places. And it's one of those things where God is watching over you, because all those deals fell through, and we felt sick about it and all that. But when this deal came up, it was meant to be. And I've told the story several times how I found it, but we found it on the internet. I had went out there and looked on this particular site in the morning at 9 o'clock, and there was nothing on the site at that time. At 9 o'clock that evening, my brother-in-law calls me and says, "Did you check the so-and-so site today?" And I said, "Yeah, there was nothing there." And he goes, "You better look again." And so it was out there, and it was listed, and it just went on and on and on and on about all the fabulous features of this place. I mean, it was like this giant house and another farmhouse and all these outbuildings, like 10, 12 outbuildings. It just went on and on and on, surrounded by Mark Twain Forest, and just went on. 280 acres, and it just, you can't even over, exaggerate all the things it was saying. And then it went to the price, and I'm thinking, this has got to be $2 million, $250,000. I like to fell out of my chair. I thought, this has got to be a misprint. So I literally started calling that moment. And I mean, I ended up getting the guy about 10:30 that night. I finally got the guy, and I got him out of bed, the realtor. Anyway, I said, look, I'm going to be there first thing in the morning to see this. And he's going, well, you're in luck. He says, we're showing it tomorrow. And he says, but unfortunately, you're fifth in line. I said, fifth in line? You just put it on there today. How could I be fifth in line? He said, well, there's people flying in from New York. There's people driving in from Oklahoma City. And there's 2 other couples coming from St. Louis. You'll be the 5th couple to look at it. I was like, just wilting. I mean, I'm just wilting, going like, well, there's no chance then. Not a chance. So I sat there from 9 in the morning. I got here early, even though I knew I wouldn't get to talk to the guy right away. I got here early, and I sat in the car on the driveway until it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. Maybe later even. I don't remember the exact time. Sat there the whole time in the car and just waited my turn. And one by one, each carload of people would leave, and I was getting closer to my turn. Man, I ran up and got in that guy's face, and I said, did you get an offer yet? Did anybody give me any money down? I'm like eating him alive. And he starts stuttering, and he's backing up, and I'm going like, he's going, no, but the people from Oklahoma said they're going to take it, and they're going to put their Buffalo and their Appaloosa. I said, did they give you money down? Did they give you a contract? No. Well, I said, they ain't got a chance. I'm buying it right now. And he starts stuttering, and he can't even talk. Because I'm just eating him alive. And he says, well, don't you want to look at the house first? I said, I do not care what the house looks like. I'm buying it right now. I said, the only thing I want you to do is get on the phone, and you call the guy that owns this, and you make him you tell him you got a cash buyer here. I'll give him $210,000 today. And he looks at me like, 210? He's asking 250, and today's the first day. He's not going to take 210. I said, mister, I ain't stupid. I know he won't take 210, but I want to hear you make that offer right now. So he's standing right there in the driveway, almost right where you can see there in the driveway, almost exactly right there, in fact. And he says, well, Bob, I got a guy here says he'll give you 210 cash today. Will you take that? And I can hear Bob answer on the phone, and Bob says, no, but I'd take 235. And I said, all right, it's sold. I'll take it for 235. So I made $15,000 just like that. Anyway, I've told that story several times. Sorry to tell it again, but I know there's new viewers and things. And yeah, I haven't looked back. But the thing that I forgot to tell you all, I've told the story before, but today I didn't tell you, is that the place was completely trashed. I mean, completely trashed. Like, you can't even, like in that spot right there that you can see, the weeds were at least 12 feet tall. And I'm not exaggerating when I say 12 feet tall. The vines had grown up and fell over, and the wheat and the briars and it was so growed up and trashed. In fact, in a real close to that spot that you just saw, I found a 1950 John Deere MT tractor in those weeds. Nobody even knew it was there. And I pulled that, once I owned the place, I pulled that tractor out, and in 45 minutes I had it running. So there you go. Yeah, it just goes on and on. But it took me 3 solid years, every single weekend for 3 years. And I hardly think I missed a weekend. I mean, I'm not kidding you. In 3 years, every weekend I came down and just cleaned up trash. That's all I did. It was that bad. So I paid for it, but I paid for it in equity, sweat equity, rather than with money. So, yeah, it was the deal of the century for me. Excuse me. All right. Moving on. I'm sorry. This just is the way it is going to be for a while. Moving on, let's move into the questions that we have for today. Oh, before we get to the questions, the one last thing is on that water hydrant, I did do a full-blown video on digging it up, fixing it, and repairing it, and that video is already uploaded. I haven't released it yet, but I'll release it shortly after we're done here. So you'll be able to see that video very, very soon. Oh, it's tough being me right now. Hey, it says, hi, Jerry. This is Bob K80. Do you use a portable HEPA air purifier unit where you sleep? FYI, I've used a Honeywell halogen air purifier model HPA 300 every night where my wife and I sleep for the last 2 years. I have noticed considerable lessening of the allergy symptoms since doing this. I use replacement filters for the Honeywell made by Viva and change out the pre-filter quarterly, HEPA filters once a year. The amount of crude pre-filter alone captures is mind-blowing. This is in addition to the heating and cooling, standard filters. Hope this might be useful. Well, the truth is, no, I don't, but it's something to consider, and I will definitely look into it. Can't hurt anything, that's for sure, especially with the way I am. If I stay on the allergy medicine, I generally don't have any problem. My daughters are much more susceptible. My oldest daughter is very, very, very susceptible to the allergy stuff. But both of them have similar type issues. By the way, one of my daughters of the two gave me this shirt. So you might have to ponder for a second to understand which or what that actually means and why that's funny. Anyway, one of them gave me that shirt. The next question is, it says, Jerry F. 1723. Jerry, your water valve problem brought up a question. How does your water system work? Okay, that's what inspired that little short video that I showed you there. So it is a deep well, and there is a pump at the very bottom of the well, and that pump pumps the water up into that pressure tank, pressurizes it in that tank, and then it shuts off when it gets to the appropriate pressure. And then when you turn the water on in the house, because of that pressure, it runs into the house. So, I mean, it works pretty simply, really. There's not much to it. And yes, I know how to work on all that stuff too. I've taken all of that apart many times, more than once, I guarantee you, including the switches, pressure switches, the whole bit. So I've done all of that stuff. And, that's the other thing. And again, I don't mean this to sound like a brag. It's just like one of those kind of deals where it just kind of is what it is. And that is, you wouldn't want to buy a place like this unless you know how to do stuff like that. I mean, seriously, you'd go, unless you're independently wealthy, of course, you'd just go broke. I mean, like in no time. And in fact, and that's another thing, believe this or not, you believe what you want, but I have no reason to lie about this. Every single person that's owned this place since I think the 50s has gone bankrupt here. And that's the truth. In fact, there were creditors at the closing when I closed on the farm, two of them, and they were both oil companies collecting their money. They had liens on the property, and that's because it's they were trying to heat it with oil, and that's why I heat it with wood. So anyway, or they were heating it with propane. Actually, it was oil companies selling the propane. But anyway. So the point is, this is the kind of property that will either, it'll just break you. I mean, unless you're just independently wealthy. So, and you got to know that going in. You can't go in there blind thinking that you could have a place like this unless you know how to do stuff or you've got enough money to pay for it. One of the two. And I don't have the money. I do have the looks. I just don't have the money. Anyway. If you can't have fun and laugh at yourself, then you don't have much if you can't have some fun. Clyde Lewis. He says, Jerry, prayers for the repairs to go well today. He was talking about the water hydrant. He says, it's no fun being up at that hour, and I was up, well, the same time this morning, too. I got up at 2 this morning and haven't been back to bed yet since. Like I said, sleep is overrated. I had a question about the Arkansas type sharpening stones you use and on chisels. Do you progress from coarse to the fine? And he says, I have a set of Arkansas stones from Lowe's, and the instructions say to start with the coarse and go to the fine, use the lubrication oil. But I'm not sure this would be true of chisels. Is it a little bit of an overkill? And then he goes on to say, Cash is sure getting better all the time. He has a great teacher. Well, thank you. Stay cool there. God bless you and your family. Well, thanks, Clyde. Yeah, let me tell you about the stones. I've been using, it's old school, but that's just me. I like the old school. It works just fine. It's one of those deals where it ain't broke, so I don't need to fix it. This works just fine. And I do have the 3 stones. You can see mine. You can just switch it around like this. I do have, this is like the coarse, then there's a medium, and then there's a fine. And the fine, of course, just is a smoother stone. Each one gets a little smoother. Now, the way that I sharpen my chisels, I've showed before, is I actually hollow grind them on my grinder. Even my really good chisels, I go through there and I hollow grind them. And you got to be kind of good with a grinder, to be honest with you. And again, I don't want it to sound like I'm bragging, but I've been using grinders since I was a kid. So I use them all the time, every day. There's hardly a day goes by around here where I don't use a grinder for a minute, And that's the truth. Believe what you want again. It's the truth. I use a grinder almost every single day. It probably is my most used tool in my whole life. It really is. Well, anyway, so I'm very good with a grinder, and I can just go in there, and I don't use any guides. I don't use anything. I just know how to look at the spark and tell if I'm getting a hollow grind. And so that's what I do, is I just lightly go across there and get a hollow grind. And, and again, you got to do it so you don't burn the tip and you don't turn it blue and all that stuff. And then you keep water close by so you keep it dipped in. But once I get that hollow grind, then I don't really need to use this coarse or medium or anything. I just go straight to my fine, because that hollow grind, you could think of this as the bevel on your chisel right here. This is the beveled edge. And so it's cupped a little bit. That's what a hollow grind is. In other words, the curve of the wheel cuts through there. That's what hollow grinding means. And so if you hold it perfectly still, then you'll have a hollow there in your cutting edge. And then, so if you understand what that's doing, well then now it's sitting on the back and it's sitting on this edge. So you lay that back. This is the cutting edge of the chisel. So you lay it like this, and then you just do this. So the middle's not even hitting. It's just polishing that front edge. And that's why I can get by with only using the fine. I hardly ever use the other 2 stones. Now, when I, get something different, like, I don't know, maybe an old knife that's really in bad shape, well, then I'll start with the heavy and go to the fine, But typically, I don't do knives on a grinder. That's a little overkill for a knife because the blade's too thin. But I don't know if you heard about the hands. Somebody asked about the hands, and they're doing much better now that I'm not working on the instruments every day and keeping them under stress. So that's working good. The fingernails are almost fixed. Dogfather61 says something about the green screen video. Can you tell us which green screen you bought? Well, I put it in the products I use list, and the only thing other than that I would say is you want to be sure to use a non-reflective green screen. You want it as flat a green screen as you can get. The one I put in there is very economical. It's only like $30, and it is a little bit reflective, but it seems to work fine. And then somebody asked me if I knew Eric Metz from the music shop in Rolla. And Eric Metz is the new owner of the music store in Rolla. Merle's Music was what it was called before, and I knew Merle real well, and I bought boxes from Merle all the time. So after Eric took over, I went in there to buy some shipping boxes from Eric for instruments, and he was just going to give them to me, and I paid him for the boxes. So Eric seems like a nice fellow. And then the last question here was James Sakers asked me if about deer antler saddles and whether I was going to put them back out on the website. And eventually I will get them back out there. I've been way behind. And yeah, I'm not going to make any promises, but hopefully I'll get some made up and get them back out there. And if I do, I will be sure to put it in a vlog or a video to let you know that they're back out there again. So I apologize for that, but it's just tough keeping up with everything. And he asked about the, do I have the parts list for the bridge heater and side bender? That's all on my website. Those are in videos and stuff. For the bridge heater and side bender, that's all contained in those videos that are shown on my website there. And that's all I ever did have on that. So I don't know if you were thinking of something else, but if you were, I don't know what it is. Gordon Bartlett says it means you have a loud hiss. Do I still have a loud hiss? I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Wow. I don't know. When you say bead brake, I guess you're referring to a tire type hiss. So, but if there's a hiss on this right now, I wouldn't have guessed that because it looks like the mic and everything's working fine right now. But anyway, guys, I'm so deflated now that happened again. I really can't tell you because you work so hard to try to make this stuff good. And I was really looking forward to today. I thought it was going to go fine. But I'm really depressed about that. It really bugs me. So someone says the sound is good now. No hiss. The hiss is gone. Okay. Well, that's good to know at least. Okay, guys. Well, I guess I'm going to just go ahead and get off here. I appreciate all the support, the kindness you've shown, except for the one guy that has to be rude. And there you go. We will see you. I'll release the video that I have already uploaded, and that is about repairing that water hydrant. I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's a pretty good video, I think. We will see you the next time. Thank you very much.